Alright folks, welcome back. This is the official Balatro Discord, and we finally got an update on the experimental beta, now version 101E. The plan is one more package of changes for us to playtest, and then soon after, the changes will be live everywhere across all platforms. If you've already opted into the experimental beta, it should update automatically to version 101E. My plan here is to read through the changes and sort of explain them, give some context for them. For example, we've got localization for the new content. When we say new content, what we're talking about is the orange stake and gold stake completely getting reworked. And then we've got, the 8-ball getting a completely new effect. We've got even some of the existing jokers changing the wording, less confusing wording. And so with all of these new content things, and with all of these wording changes, we need to do the localization again, right? We need to translate these into different languages. And this is something that Local Thunk himself is not responsible for. The publisher Playstack, they have people that they contract to do the localization, and so it just took extra long this time. If you're wondering what's taking so long, how come the experimental changes are not live on consoles yet, it's because of this. It's because the localization took extra time. But here's a change that you'll be excited about and perhaps worth the wait. The perishable jokers, those are jokers, starting at the orange stake, those are jokers that will become disabled after 5 rounds. Now, scaling jokers are incompatible. Scaling jokers cannot become perishables. For example, like Ride the Bus gets plus molt every time you play a hand. Constellation gets X molt every time you use a planet card. And so there's a ton of these, right? There's a ton of these scaling jokers, and it's pretty stinky. The perishables, you have a 1 in 3 chance for a joker to be perishable, and so you get these scaling jokers, and then if they're perishable, they're basically blanks, right? You can't buy them because after 5 rounds, by the time you actually scale them up, then they're going to become disabled and you're going to have to replace them. So huge quality of life change here. Just like with eternal jokers, food jokers are not allowed to become eternals. Now these scaling jokers are not allowed to be perishables, but they can still be rentals and they can still be eternals. We've got some more changes to the reduced motion here. Also, folks, playing the new changes now and then giving their feedback, commenting, Local Thunk responding to the comments in real time now, and then sort of explaining the changes. All right, we've got the reduced motion stuff here. This was a change that we started with 101C, and then we're just continuing to even further clean up the reduced motion here for folks who need that, sort of an accessibility option here. Not affecting me personally, but I do have most of the motion stuff, the screen shake stuff turned off anyway. Big changes to some scaling jokers, or I guess, not super big changes, but anyway, all of these scaling jokers, runner, square joker, and Wii joker, they start at 0 chips now. So previously, runner started at 20, square joker started at 16, and then Wii joker started, started at 10, now 0. All of these start at 0. Now the exchange for this is they grow faster. And so the runner, for example, starting at 20 and then growing by 10 every time you play a straight, now starting at 0, growing by 15. And so after you play 2 straights, then, the same as what it was before. Wait, that's not true. After you play 3 straights, right, then you get 45 compared to 20 plus 2 10s would be 40. So after you play 3 straights, then the runner is faster. And then after that, of course, 15 growing 50% bigger than plus 10 per straight. So here's the deal with the runner, right? The runner is supposed to grow every time you play a straight, so it's supposed to fit into your straights build. Well, by the time you level up your runner, you will have collected Saturn cards. You will have leveled up your poker hand, just through normal gameplay, right? And after you get enough of these Saturn cards that give you 30 chips each, then the runner becomes obsolete, right? You have so many chips from just your base poker hand that then you don't really need the runner. Like the runner is giving you maybe only 30% of your chips, or maybe only 25% of your chips, and so you should be replacing it with something else if you want to play optimally. And so I think it's, of course, it's a common joker, the runner, and so it's going to have a common level of power, but I think it really did need this help. I'm really excited about the extra scaling here, growing faster. Square Joker, kind of the same thing. So Square Joker, previously 16 chips and then growing at a rate of +4. The reason for that, by the way, is because 16 is a square number. It's 4 times 4. And of course, +4 is a square number as well. It's 2 times 2. This sucked. It was good enough, but it wasn't very good. The Square Joker, again here, it's a common joker, scaling chips joker. And so, what do you want from a common? Well, I wanted a little bit more from a common. And so now we're changing from +4 to +5. It's not as cute as +4 being a square number 2 times 2, but, I'd rather have it be better balanced than just have it be aesthetically pleasing, right? And so I'm really excited about this as well, having the +5 so that it can grow faster. After just one round, I think it will catch up to where it was, and then after 2 rounds, it'll, surpass. All right, we have Wii Joker getting kind of a similar treatment here. So previously starting at 10 chips, now starts at 0 chips. Here, the scaling rate doesn't need to change. Wii Joker is already fine, placed where it is. Bloodstone, though, Bloodstone needed some work. So originally Bloodstone was 1 in 3 chance for ×2 molt, and kind of on average that's a ×4, right? And so I think, that's fairly well balanced. The Bloodstone, on average giving you ×4 if it's 1 in 3 to give you ×2. But you would miss on that 1 in 3 enough times that people were very frustrated by the Bloodstone, and so the response was okay. 1 in 3 people are unhappy with, let's change it to 1 in 2 now, so you don't have the fail case as much. But then 1 in 2, it was just triggering way too often and ended up being way too powerful, especially if we start introducing things like, re-trigger jokers. And so, okay, Bloodstone needs to be nerfed then. We went too far with the 1 in 2 instead of 1 in 3, and so what is the change? Instead of X2 molt, now going to be X1.5. I think this is, no one's going to be surprised by this, Bloodstone being as powerful as it was. This 1.5 here brings it, more in line with the other uncommon, I call them gem jokers, right? So there's the rough gem that gives you money, there's the onyx agate that gives you plus molt for clubs, there's the arrowhead that gives you chips for spades. If we compare Bloodstone to those, now I think this, it's still 1 in 2 chance to give you ×1.5. I think that's more reasonable. Makes sense to me. All right, Stuntman, previously we was originally 300 chips. We reduced it down to 250 chips as a way to nerf it. I think that wasn't enough, or maybe that wasn't the right change. Like, you would still get it, it would still be plenty powerful. And so what we're trying now is, instead of uncommon at $6, now changing it to a rare. And I think this is correct. I think, the Stuntman can be very, like, run defining can be very game warping, where once you get the Stuntman, okay, now I'm doing Stuntman stuff. Because the amount of chips that I get from the Stuntman are way more than even, like, my level up straights or whatever it is. And so I think changing it to rare is cool. And so the way that I think about this is, if you have, like, there's all of these jokers that give you X molt for playing certain hands at rare, right? There's the straights. You get ×3 for playing straights. You get ×2 for playing flushes. You get ×4 for playing 4 of a kind or higher, right? You have all of those rare jokers. This is like that, except it's for high card and pairs. Right, so if you're playing high card, now the Stuntman gives you, however many chips on top of that. And the amount of chips that you get, the 250 chips, that is like getting a ×3 or a ×4 bonus on top of, however many chips you were getting before. 250 is a lot. And so we're going to try it as a rare Joker now. I'm actually very happy with this. I'm happy with Stuntman showing up less often. I think, with Stuntman being rare now, I think it is safe to return it to the plus 300 instead of the plus 250. I think as a rare Joker, plus 250 does feel a little bit bad. It made sense at uncommon, but as a rare Joker, I would like to see it return to the plus 300 that it was previously. All right, Vampire, we changed it. We nerfed it in 3 ways. We nerfed it in the way that it interacts with unscored cards. We nerfed it by changing it from uncommon to rare, and we also nerfed it by reducing the scaling rate. And of all of those 3 changes, I think maybe only 2 of those were necessary. So, okay, either you keep it at uncommon with the lower scaling rate, with the 0.1 scaling rate, or you keep it at rare with the 0.2 scaling rate, right? So higher rarity, higher scaling rate, lower rarity, lower scaling rate. And the version that we decided to go for here is now we're going to go with the uncommon version. And so it kind of fits into, we want it to be similar enough to things like Constellation, things like Hologram, where, as an uncommon, growing at the rate of 0.1, per enhancement, that's going to be, still 0.2 per Empress card, per Hierophant card, and, those sorts of things. I think the scaling rate is correct. You'll still be able to get it up to, what used to be X5 now becomes X3. What used to be X7 is now X4, those types of things. I do like the scaling rate where it is at. And so I think the uncommon here instead of rare makes sense also. Just that you have another sort of complement to, like I said, Constellation grows when you get planet cards, Vampire grows when you get tarot cards. So they're kind of complementary there. All right, next we've got the stakes changes here. Basically what this is all of the scoring thresholds higher. Ante 3 through Ante 8, all of the scoring requirements are higher. So, what I was saying about the new stakes is in the beginning, the game is like very interesting and engaging with these different perishable jokers and rental jokers, and it's difficult to assemble a set of jokers, a reasonable set of jokers. But then, after you get out of Ante 4 or 5, you've had enough time to see enough shops, and if you see enough shops, you can find the jokers that you're looking for, right? And then so those rental and those perishable things, those stop mattering as much, in the later game. And so also, without the -1 hand size of the previous gold stake, without the increasing cost booster packs, way more viable to play these higher scoring, higher ranking poker hands, getting card enhancements from Arcana packs, from tarot cards. And so this is something that I wanted. I felt that the gold stakes, I guess when I say gold stakes, I do mean also like the purple stake, the scoring requirements. I felt like the scoring requirements needed to be higher in the end game. And so that's what this is. In the end game, all of the scoring requirements are going to be higher. Not that much higher. Basically, it's plus 10% across the board. And I think you can do that. I think you can find that you can score 10% more. Find a way to score 10% more than before. Also, with things like this, perishable jokers not able to be, the scaling jokers not allowed to be perishable, then, that then makes the end game easier, right? If you're able to get the scaling jokers, that make this easier in the end game. And then that's basically it. We've got some cosmetic changes here, like the location of the Eternals and the Perishables stickers being relocated. On the Jokerless challenge, previously you could, in theory, get the antimatter voucher. Antimatter voucher would give you a Joker slot, and then when you had a Joker slot, you could, in theory, find a top-up tag to give you a common Joker, and then it was a way to get a Joker on the Jokerless challenge. This was just an oversight. This was, when Thunk was going through and, creating the Jokerless challenge. When he created the challenge, he had to select all of the tags that were going to be outlawed, made illegal. And so, okay, I click all the ones that, give me additions on my jokers. I click the uncommon tag, I click the rare tag, or whatever it is, and so he missed one. He missed the top-up tag. Also, you know, the antimatter voucher here. So, okay, those are going to be removed. That makes sense. Things like Wheel of Fortune that cares about you having, you know, jokers, that's gonna stay. And I think that's correct. I think that's fine. But now, no longer possible to get jokers on the Jokerless challenge, as it was always intended. Alright, we also have a bug here with perishable jokers giving their effect even when debuffed. And so I encountered this a little bit with, like, I think the Drunkard giving me the extra discard even when it was debuffed. The Juggler giving me the extra hand size even when it was debuffed. I think those are things that happened to me. Okay, we fixed it, I guess. Also here we had a bug with the rate at which these Eternals and perishable jokers are showing up. I think generally what this meant is they were supposed to be 1 in 3 chance for Eternals, 1 in 3 chance for perishables. I think they were showing up more often than they were supposed to. And so expect, you know, I'm not sure if you actually did the math, if you actually did the observations and calculated empirically what was the appearance rate and how did the appearance rate compare to what the advertised appearance rate was, because you didn't even know what the advertised appearance rate was. Well, it should be closer to 1 in 3 now. You know, whatever kind of bug making them appear more often than they should have, that's been fixed. Allegedly. Alright, the changes should be live soon. Well, soon is relative, right? You know, could be a couple days, could be a week, but it shouldn't be much longer now that the localization stuff is already done. I'm going to try to get Thunk to change the Stuntman back to 300. And is there anything else in here that I want him to change? We'll see about these anti-scalings. Maybe these could go even higher, in my opinion. Alright, take care everyone.